Buenas noches, mi gente, les habla Edwin Chungo Molina. Esta noche tenemos con nosotros a Bill Dawers, un activista comunitario y un amigo de Información al Desnudo. Y él nos va a estar hablando sobre el significado de bajar la bandera confederada el 10 de julio. Buenas noches, Bill. Good evening, Bill. How are you?
Buenas noches. Hello, Eddie, and I'd like to thank you and the listeners of your station for having me on, and I'm congratulating you on your 4th anniversary. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Bill, talk to us about the symbolism and what was the meaning of raising up the Confederate flag, and when was taken down on July 10 of the government office in South Carolina.
Well, the Confederate flag is really the battle flag of the Confederate Army during the Civil War. It stands for one thing and one thing alone, and that is the greatest crime in history, the kidnapping of millions of people from Africa to be worked to death on land stolen from native people here for the benefit of a wealthy clique of slave owners. It was first raised in an armed insurrection. It had one purpose and one purpose alone, to preserve and extend the institution of slavery. And the Civil War was, in essence, with all its contradictions, a revolution against slavery. It was a war between slavery and a system of free labor. And the overthrow of the slave system and a brief period of Reconstruction that followed in South Carolina, which is my home state, was a huge victory for the people. And the flag was raised again. That flag never actually flew over South Carolina during the Civil War. It was raised again. It was raised in 1876. Remember, at the time of the Civil War, up until World War II, South Carolina, as well as Mississippi and Louisiana, were a majority black. So the Reconstruction governments that were established after the Civil War were Democratic majority rule. And in 1876, when the federal government betrayed the black people of the South and withdrew the troops, and that flag was raised by terrorist gangs called Red Shirts, much like the Ku Klux Klan, led by Wade Hampton and Ben Tillman, who unleashed a reign of terror, of massacre against the black people of South Carolina, and imposed white minority rule, segregation, lynch law, convict leasing, peonage. That continued up until the Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s. That flag was officially raised over the state capitol in South Carolina in 1961 as an answer to the Civil Rights Movement, to the Black Freedom Movement. It was raised at a time when the Southern racist power structure was trying to drown black freedom struggle in blood. It flew there in 1968 when the South Carolina State Police gunned down students at the University of South Carolina in Orangeburg, black students who were trying to desegregate a bowling alley. And not a single cop went to jail, but the organizer of the demonstration went to jail. 3 were killed, 3 protesters were killed, and 27 were injured. And it flew there atop the State House until 2000, when the largest demonstration in South Carolina's history, 50,000 people forced them to remove it from the State House, but instead of taking it down, they put it on the monument to Confederate veterans that still stands in front of the State House. And it flew there. It continued to fly there on June 17th of this year, when a terrorist named Dylan Roof walked into a black church, and after sitting there in a Bible study class for an hour, murdered 9 people in cold blood, including a state senator. This act of terror has not been called an act of terror by the U.S. government, but it forced the mass outrage and the fear of a social explosion inside South Carolina, which is still 30% black, although the majority of black people have been forced to leave the state in the decades of terror after in the late 19th and early 20th century, they feared a social explosion in South Carolina and an economic boycott from without, so they brought the flag down. It's a victory for the people, but it's just like the abolition of slavery, just like the end of segregation. It's a victory, but it's not enough. Because
Bill,
yes, sir.
The coming down of the symbol of the Confederate flag, what it means to the people, not only South Carolina, but the people of the United States?
Well, it's a blow to the cover-up of the gravity of the crime of slavery that was committed, and it would be like having a swastika still flying over Berlin, having a Confederate flag flying in South Carolina, and or any other southern state or any other state. So, because what happened, the slavery in this country was like the Nazi Holocaust, except it went on for hundreds of years, and it was a people's victory to take it down. But the legacy of slavery remains. It remains when you have mass incarceration of black people at a disproportionate rate, and you have the constant killings of unarmed black men, women, and children by the police. And when you consider the great wealth that slavery produced, you got to ask the question: why are the descendants of those who produced that wealth disproportionately living in poverty? Why is the average assets of a black family in this country about $5,000 a year, the median, while for white family it's well over $100,000 a year?
Bill, another thing is that bringing down the Confederate flag from the state capital of South Carolina, does this have to do anything with the Black Lives Matter movement? Absolutely, because it was in the context of that movement that the Republican political establishment in South Carolina, which stood by that flag for 50 years, is the most right-wing in the country. And the fact that they were forced to do this is a reflection of the national Black Lives Matter struggle. Because that flag says loud and plain, Black lives don't matter. The flag of slavery, and even with that flag down, you still have the monument to Confederate soldiers. You still have streets named. You still have the statues to Wade Hampton and Ben Tillman, who were lynch mob leaders. You still have commemorations of the Confederacy, and the false narrative that this flag is some kind of flag of rebellion, when actually when the slave owners in the United States in 1860 were the richest people in this country, and they oppressed poor whites as well as the enslaved black people, because it was poor whites who were sent to drafted and sent to fight and die for them by the hundreds of thousands in a war which had no other purpose but to expand slavery. Bill, also on July 18, in the state capital of South Carolina, the Ku Klux Klan was having a rally. I saw in the news that in reality, the Ku Klux Klan, many years ago, it was a big movement. Now I only saw few Ku Klux Klans raising up the flag.
Well, yeah, they are hated and they are unpopular. But the fact is, they are not designated a terrorist organization by the U.S. government. They had on their voicemail an open call. They said, "We need 400 Dillon Root." But here they are rallying under police protection because they were vastly outnumbered. They were rallying under police protection in defense of terror, and they are the most terrorist organization that ever existed. They were the secret police of Jim Crow and segregation. That's what they were. Now, of course, you have murderers like Dylan Roof and George Zimmerman, but a lot of the work that the Klan once did is now, unfortunately, being done by the police. There's always been a tremendous interchange of membership between the Klan and police and prison guards, and most of the murders of unarmed black people in this country, most of the lynchings are carried out by the state apparatus, by the police, by the prisons, like Sandra Bland, who was found hanging in her cell in Arizona.
Bill,
prison system. You have the state doing the things that the Klan used to do.
Bill, you being an activist in the city of New York, and also being a son of South Carolina, you were born there. In all this police killing, police brutality against particularly black people, how do you see that the Black Lives Matter movement is moving forward? What can we expect of this movement and the changes that is being occurring right now?
The Black Lives movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, I think, is the most important development in this country, the most powerful challenge to the system, to the rule of the 1%, since the Black freedom struggle of the '60s, and it's in the interest of all working class and poor people of all nationalities to support it, because the power of the 1% rests on racism, and it rests on the vast wealth accrued from slavery and Jim Crow. And I think there's no more important issue right now in this country, and it's a disgrace that presidential candidates like Bernie Sanders, for example, supposed left, liberals or socialists or whatever, are refusing to address it.
Bill, let me just stop. Bill.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Bill, let me stop you for a moment so we could identify our radio station. Hola, mi gente, le estamos hablando directamente con el activista Bill Dawers, un hijo del estado de Carolina del Sur, y también un hijo adoptivo del estado de Nueva York, amigo nuestro. Estamos hablando sobre el simbolismo de bajar la bandera confederada en el estado de Carolina del Sur el 10 de julio pasado, y también una demostración que los racistas del Ku Klux Klan habían llamado para el 18. También pues Bill está haciendo un recuento histórico del significado de la bandera confederada y los atropellos que se han estado realizando contra la comunidad negra en particular. Bill, I've been telling our audience as part of what we've been discussing all along, and let them know that están en información al desnudo. And Bill, one last minute to wrap it up. What can we do from now on?
Intensify the struggle. The Civil War and Reconstruction were revolutions. There was a revolution against slavery, but it's an unfinished revolution because the legacy of slavery remains, and we have to finish that revolution, and that means supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and supporting uniting with the black struggle and that of all oppressed people who are fighting for freedom and justice in this country.
Bill?
We have to walk in the footsteps of the abolitionists, black and white, those who fought against slavery in 2 centuries ago.
Bill, we wanted to thank you for being part of Información al Desnudo and this covering this important issue about the Confederate flag, and for being with us. We thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you, Eddie.